Deep Red is a 1975 Italian mystery slasher film written and directed by Dario Argento, the director of Suspiria. It stars, and I'm sorry in advance if I get some pronunciations wrong, David Hemmings, Daria Nicolodi, Gabriele Lavia, among others. Now, given that I am of Italian descent and it is Italian Heritage Month, I decided what better time to review an Italian horror film than now. Although it has always confused me that my mother has, told me that I'm Italian, given that, I was born here. I mean, I guess it could be argued that maybe I'm Italian American given my heritage, but even then, that is a big fucking maybe. But since I'm so proud of my heritage, surrounding that, I decided I wanted to take a look at this. Anyway, I'm digressing. Let's begin. The premise of this film revolves around a talented piano player named Marcus, played by Hemmings, who was a witness to the brutal death of a renowned psychic, who had picked up on the killer's sadistic thoughts earlier on. Sadly, the killer ends up getting away. What's worse is that a reporter named Gianna, played by Nicolodi, ends up putting his picture in the newspaper given that there is a lot of buzz surrounding him being a witness and all. Now the killer knows who he is and is coming after him next. So, feeling bad she put his life at risk, she accompanies Marcus and decides to help him find the killer. But it is not going to be easy. Now, this is a premise with a very great mystery going for it, and the execution is especially great since not only do they keep the killer's identity vague, but also because they keep the killer's motivations somewhat unclear. You can kind of tell there is a reason the killer is doing all this, but it's very hard to pinpoint exactly why, which more than helps add to the mystery. And the fact that the killer seems to have the mind of a child surprisingly helps add to the horror as well, since it really contrasts with their horrific acts. Also, the fact that the killer is after one of the protagonists really helps add to the overall suspense and fear factor. I give premise an A, very well executed and will keep you engaged the entire time. Next is acting. And I really do love the way Hemmings and Nicolodi's characters interact off each other, since their growing relationship does feel genuine. At first, they start off as somewhat hostile with each other with the tiff over arm wrestling and whatnot, but then they start to grow closer as they realize just how dangerous the killer is and the fact that one of them could be next. And the way they interact with each other really does feel genuine since it begins to slowly grow. Now, these characters don't end up becoming a couple, but it is somewhat implied given how close they become. And the fact that this film was dubbed into English does not affect the performances at all, because it still manages to feel natural and their facial expressions and emotions still manage to shine through. I give acting an A. It truly brought out an authenticity to these characters. Now, when it comes to cinematography, I do feel Suspiria was better at that, but it still manages to be pretty good in this. There are scenes that really felt like I was looking at an elaborate painting due to how good the framing was, such as the scene with the maniacal laughing doll running toward one of the characters, which definitely caught me off guard due to how unnerving it was. This was a scene that was framed so well because it not only made it so that you focused on the doll, but also the entirety of the room. Lighting was also very good since it made the murder scenes feel so much more real because of how bright it was, so that almost made them feel like they were in your face. I give cinematography an A. Not as good as Suspiria, but still manages to be good due to the way it's set up and the lighting as well. Finally, directing. Dario Argento has once called himself the Italian equivalent to Alfred Hitchcock, and given this film, I think he is more than deserving of that title, because he does a very good job in terms of suspense and the boosting the fear you have for these characters because of it. His vagueness really does help to keep you engaged and helps to keep you guessing as to who the killer might truly be. He also does a good job of fleshing out the main characters so that you actually genuinely care about them and actually start to worry for their safety. And the way he lets the story slowly unfold is the cherry on top of this cinematic sundae. As much as I loved Suspiria, I really do think this is Argento's best work in terms of story and execution. I give directing an A+. Very well crafted in terms of suspense and characters. Overall, Deep Red is a fantastic mystery film that you cannot take your eyes off of. You'll desperately want to know who the killer is due to how vague their identity and motivations are. It also manages to be somewhat unnerving in some areas as well. Oh, and the soundtrack is badass too. Definitely up there with Suspiria in some areas, if not better. I give Deep Red an a brilliant whodunit film. Thank you for watching, happy Italian Heritage Month, and don't forget to like and sub for more content.